wife missed her calling. She should have been a comedian.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. This is class number.
6.
Wow, I'm so impressed. So, today's topic is this season, in these past couple of months between August 9th and the end of October. It's a very interesting phenomenon that happens during this time. But we're going to talk about that and the idea of refueling and having and allowing these couple of months to be your refueling process for the year.
It's a renewal, really. It's almost like we start from scratch. We erase and we correct and we mend what we need to mend within ourselves to be able to move forward.
Very interesting phenomenon in our community. I'd like to mention that and talk about that for a moment. Simply, it'll set a precedence for what we're going to discuss. In our community, they're not holidays. They're perceived as holidays, and for the sake of human beings having something to do and having a ritual. But the truth is, there are opportunities for resolve. Starting the 9th of August, we have something we call the 9th of, which means it's when the temples were destroyed 500 years apart. And then the final solution was signed by with the Nazis on the same date. So my community has, and all the masters and all the spiritual discourse that's written, it considers it the day of disaster.
There was other things that also happened in that day that were considered bad news for the community.
Right.
So,
But my point is not really what happened to us, but what happens at this time for humanity. And the point is that it wasn't a day of disaster. The light of the creative force shines so much brighter in these next couple of months, beginning August 9th. So what happened is the correlation between the destruction of the first and second temple on the same day, 500 years apart, and then the final solution being signed on the same day. I don't know how, I can't tell you how many years apart, but at least 500. The idea is that the light is so bright that our old understanding of reality is crushed by the intensity of the light so that we can establish a new understanding and a new connection to the creative force.
so once again, we have another opportunity for renewal.
Yes.
It's not a day to sit down and reflect on how bad it was before. It's a day to sit down and see how we can learn for whatever it is that happened.
Right. So we don't drag our past into the future and plan for disaster. We embrace the fact that there is a creative force, that there is a bright light, that when it intensifies in this season, and it's not just for my community, it's for humanity, it intensifies and it starts to fuel the internal soul. And when it fuels the internal soul, all of our obstacles and all of our misconceptions and things that we think we're defined by become in the forefront of our minds. And so we have to deal with them. Why do we have to deal with them? This season of holidays in my community it's in the forefront of our minds so that we can resolve them. So let's say I had a conflict. I use this as an example years ago with my brother's wife. If I continue to stay in the conflict, I drag my understanding and the cause of the conflict into my future, and the idea of having a conflict and the perpetual need to be right. More importantly, his wife takes up space in my heart and in my head, and that conflict that's unresolved, which I didn't take responsibility for creating it doesn't allow me to effectively move forward and effectively co-create what I desire. You with me? So then, every year, I'm given an opportunity to smash my own understanding, meaning I'm not defined. I was just talking to a friend of mine about this today. I'm not defined by my incredible looks. I'm not defined by my charm. I'm not defined by my joy or my car, or I'm not defined by the weather. I have to constantly willing. We have a thunderstorm, so the dogs are barking. I'm given an opportunity constantly to redefine what I think I'm defined by, meaning the only thing that can define me is my relationship with the creator, which then gives me the ability to be effective in co-creating what I desire instead of what I don't want. So every year, I have an opportunity to resolve conflict. We call the people that we hurt or that we had an issue with, and we take responsibility. I wanted to call and apologize for um, causing the conflict or my part in the conflict, and I'd like to move forward. Why? Because on a certain date in this month, there's a day where the Creator shines 3,000 degrees brighter, and we fast because we empty out emotionally first from our conflicts and our and internal dialogue. And then we have an opportunity to empty out physically from eating so that our souls can receive for the coming year. Now, there's a basic, very basic, small town kind of understanding in my community that somehow you'll be written in some kind of book of life. There's no book, there's no guy in the sky, there just is God. And you're really technologically given an opportunity to correct yourself, your attachment to being right, your attachment to understanding that if conflict appeared, that you co-created the conflict and you have to take responsibility for it. More importantly, to make space in your heart and in your mind and um, see the value in the conflict so that you can receive more energy for your soul and then move forward.
We can definitely say that the book of life is energetically. It's not a physical book of life. It's an energetic book of life where you clear yourself of so much garbage that you constantly accumulate and you keep in your heart and in your mind that doesn't allow you to move forward. Now you clear all that and now you make space. You get rid of the old to make space for the new. And then you really allow yourself to receive and have a new year or a new beginning, truly without all the luggage that we carry constantly.
Let's address that. If I keep, I have a favorite cousin. If I keep her accountable for something that she did in the past, not only I can't move forward, she can't move forward because I'm holding her hostage in my heart and in my mind. And she's holding me hostage in her mind. That means neither one of us can move forward. We're in violation of commandments. We're stealing our own time. We're unresolved because we need to hold someone accountable for what happened. But if I take responsibility for co-creating it and that it appeared before me because that's where I was, then I can liberate her and liberate myself. She can move forward because I took responsibility, and I can move forward because I recognized my ability, my need to be right or my need for whatever, my reaction. And I can then make space in my head. I do away with the internal dialogue of what I would have said, could have said, or should have said. That means I no longer have her energy in my heart or in my head. I have space for God's energy to flow through me so I can effectively create less the conflict. The same goes for my brother's wife. The same goes for people that work, do my Instagram, whoever. It doesn't matter. I'm just giving you examples because she happens to be an important. I like to poke at her. But the idea is that the magic of this time, if things are falling apart for you, it doesn't matter whether you're Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist. It's how the universe works, and it works in a way magically. The Moses receives this incredible document that we all take seriously, most of us, and we don't look at it as a fable or a fairy tale. We actually understand that he gave us a technological structure on how to be here. And every year at this time, people in the world, regardless of their faith, their religion, and how they observe their religion, they experience an intensity. Things fall apart, people go away, they have an intense emotional kind of falling apart as well. And it's almost like they're being held in a holding pattern. Nothing new develops until the end of October, and then all of a sudden this flood comes.
It forces us to really look in, to really take a moment to go within and address what we need to address. And if we choose to be honest with ourselves, and if we choose to make corrections, and not just go up to people and say, oh, I'm sorry if I hurt you, and next, I'm sorry if I hurt you.
Going through the motions.
No, like really take responsibility, because if we understand that we create everything and every conflict that happens in our life, even if we think that we're not at fault, we have a responsibility for that conflict, and we are at fault for creating it. That means that we need to go up to that person and apologize for our part in creating that conflict. And it aligns perfectly. As a humanity right now, we're going through a process of complete renewal, with all these eclipses and Mercury and all these planets that are moving, and the resonance of the Earth that's completely out of control. So there's a complete renewal. We're truly being, we go through it every year, but this year specifically.
You know why I'm smiling? Because it's truly a turning point.
To
honor Charlie.
We're really feeling the pressure.
But it's.
What was that?
Somebody wants to say something.
You were saying, you said it's a turning point.
Mm-hmm.
So I was saying yes, like, but it's like that cliche of how it does resonate with Charlie Kirk, how it's a turning point. It's a shift in ourselves, that we are, one, finding more of a foundation with ourselves and also God, because we are trying to elevate ourselves and let go of what's holding on to us, and almost like clouding that like negative like type of narrative we may have of ourselves that like goes on to other people that we think is like portraying onto us. And then from there, like when we see that shift, we see more goodness come to us when we have that point of like, am I good? Am I like getting it kind of?
I'm gonna be seeing a lot of you. Listen, the idea, I was just talking to a buddy of mine that I know for many years, and I said to her, if you look at Abraham and his story, he was told in a literal sense to sacrifice his son, and his son's name was Isaac. Isaac means joy. So what he was really told, God spoke to him and said, you got to cut your kid's throat. No. What he was told is that he has to be willing to sacrifice the best of himself. Isaac means joy. So in his case, he had to be willing to give up joy because he thought it defined him. He had to be willing to give that up to realign himself to more God. So then you can effectively co-create reality, and he became the most realized person in history. He's the father of all of our cultures and our religions, or of monotheism. So the idea is that at this point in our lives, at this time, specifically between August 9th and to the end of October, it's a magical opportunity. And if you don't take it, you'd be foolish not to, because psychology is not going to provide you with the answers. Psychology will give you an opportunity to blame, defend, and justify. It's an intellectual structure or a format that's been fed to us for the sake of being able to make sense of what's happening. So then what happens is we have these new life coaches that they talk about your inner child and all this other nonsense. My inner child suffered, but it needed to suffer so that I could be who I am today. I'm not interested in I'm interested in seeing the value in all of it and not blaming my mommy or my daddy. I'm interested in every year giving up something that I think defines us, my attachment to wanting a California Ferrari. Does that define me? No. My attachment to that I look like I'm 75. It doesn't define me. So I choose to be 35. And when I choose it, my perception then, is it going to make me 35? Not really. But internally, I make space for more God, which is then the definitive concrete force that puts on the light and gives me the ability to be effective in what I'm pursuing. So if you're at a crossroads in your life today because you're redefining yourself or reinventing yourself, what you want to do is disconnect from what you think defines you. My attachment to my family defined me. Why? Because I thought this is who I am. And it's not who I am. I cannot become me, truly me, if I'm defined by the achievements of members of my family.
So really, we want anything to change. We really need to make the change. Things need to be different. Joe Dispenza says, if you want to change your reality, you got to change your personality. And it makes total sense, because if we keep doing the same things and thinking in the same patterns, then we keep experiencing reality in the same way. But if we truly change our personality, the way we think, the way we process information, the way we understand, and in turn we change our perception, that means we now change our personality. And there's no way that our reality is going to stay the same, because we are creating it with our perception and our understanding and our belief. So now we have a different reality. That means we have the choice to change it in the moment.
I want to address how it works technologically. When your brain detects, it makes a decision. I'll give you a live example of a client. I think we mentioned him in the last video. He won his lawsuit and got a portion of his money from his partner, and now he's consumed by the fact that he may or may not have been able to get more money out of his partnership. And so now he's not sleeping, he's not feeling well, and so on. He calls me, he says, listen, what do I do? I said, well, you have to choose how far you're willing to go. Are you ready for war? Or are you ready to take what you have, and instead of being consumed and holding him accountable and holding yourself in a flight pattern, take what you got and go create 100 times more? Or do you want to stay in the pattern and continue deliberating and contemplating that you could have gotten more and how you were wronged? And so, of course, he made a decision. Then he asked me, well, how do I let go and let God? Somebody asked us this the last time. And the way you do it is you choose not to be held hostage.
Not to be in control, too. I mean, you hold yourself hostage by wanting to be in control of everything.
No, but wanting to control that your belief system works for you.
And it also, you wanting to control that it has to be your way, because right, your way is the way it works. Meanwhile,
it hasn't worked. More importantly, you diminish your ability to co-create. Imagine this guy, I can't say the amount of money, but he was able to manifest the obstacle, the adversary, and then, as a result of our work together, to set aside his need to be right and his attachment to his adversary and create a possibility that he won the case and he got an insane amount of money. And it's still not enough. Well, there'll never be enough. And you'll continue to hold the guy accountable, and you won't be able to go and make 100 times more. So this time of the year, if you're crashing emotionally, if you're consumed and trying to reinvent yourself, if you're trying to achieve new goals, the only way you can do it is move your personality aside and be willing to give up something that you think defines you.
I think we also have to appreciate these times where we need to crash. We need these times where we need to be at the bottom in whatever level it is to be able to make changes, because it's then when you're in a pinch that you work something out.
Right.
You work your magic in life and you make changes for yourself. So you need these times. Changes don't come in the most comfortable moments. Change comes in the most uncomfortable moments.
It's very interesting that we went from working 10 hours a day to 4 hours a week in these last 2.5 months. Because when you're in the throes of work, if you start to ask yourself, when I'm working, I don't pay attention to what I need to work on. But when there's no work, well, now I have time to look at myself and why is there no work? Why is there a lull, quiet? And the quiet time is to reflect, to figure out what's standing in the way, what kind of other commitments you want to take on to be closer to the creative force, how you want to pursue things, and where you want to put your energy. Because now you have a new opportunity to refuel yourself for the coming year. It's not just for us, it's for humanity. He received it, Moses.
We're going through it. We're currently at this time, as we speak together. No, right now. Right now. It's being right now. At this time. Mm-hmm. The solar eclipse is happening right now, and it's a complete renewal. I mean, we have been working on it. It's not like, oh, it was today and that's it. We have been working on it because this eclipse started in 2006, actually, the energy of it. And so it's a process that's molding us and refining us, and we're going through it. Just this month, we've been feeling it the strongest.
Let's go to the question.
So the main topic,
the overall theme,
right, is when we're praying. So if you're saying that God is not a guy in the sky, right? Yet the prayers, how do we address God when we pray? If normally we address it as the guy in the sky who's either rewarding us.
So we're always in supplication.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I found through my practice, one of the best principles of and the most helpful idea of helping others in prayer, through prayer, is not asking, but on the contrary, thanking, because everything already exists.
But how do you explain there's some specific prayers? Let's talk about Psalms that are universal for everybody almost. When you go into the Psalms, all the emotions and all even the wording that's within the Psalms it's as if you were talking to a human. They're very humanized prayers.
So if you look at, just let's say Psalms, I don't know if we addressed this before, but we did suggest Psalms to other people in other classes. But if you look at Psalms, David was in constant deliberation for the sake of becoming better. He wasn't addressing so much God. He was addressing God, but his his conversations were with himself because he was faced with so many adversaries.
So when he's addressing God as a vengeful God, as a God that's punishing him, that's pulling him out of his life and wants to taking him near death, and is that the conversation with himself of the struggles he's having with himself and the vengeance within himself?
So if I were to say I have a problem, I'm in deliberation of what to choose, what project to pursue. And I'm not going to ask the guy in the sky. I'm going to directly verbalize thanks, gratitude. But in order to be able to form and to effectively co-create what I'm pursuing, I have to be merged with the energy of the creative force. What that means is the whole point of prayer, whether it's contemplation, deliberation, supplication, whether you're on your knees or on your back or standing on your head, what's relevant is that you merge with the force first in order to effectively co-create what you desire. So really, there's no need for supplication, but there is a sacred time to ask and thank for what it is that you desire. So the structure of prayer has to be for the sake of, I'm grateful to be able to wake up. I'm grateful to be able to see my kids and my wife again, or my dogs. And I'm now moving, I'm raising, in the process of expressing gratitude, I'm raising my vibration and engaging my intellect in receiving energy so that I'm not distracted by my thoughts. Once I'm in that point and I merge with the energy of God to such an extent where I can now effectively verbalize desires and gratitude for what is, not in asking for it, but thanking for it. So, really, the whole structure of prayer is intended to raise the vibration of the soul. How do you raise it? The biggest distraction is sexuality and intellect. So while you're verbalizing gratitude, that's why prayer has to be structured and at least for 30 to 40 minutes, because you ascend or descend. Descend into it. You move into it, because if I'm saying rub a dub dub, thanks for the grub, and I'm
you ascend because you elevate yourself.
Right. So okay, ascend. I didn't know the word. Whatever. I'm not an English major, but I can tell you I know this for sure. That the point is to move into a reality that's energetic, that helps your soul. You become more soul than body. Then you can be effective in thanking what it is that you want to achieve, because it already exists. But if you can imagine point B already exists.
So in the thanking, it's more a statement of understanding that you're grateful for something that already is. Mm-hmm. Because if you can imagine it, that means it's already there for you. And so if you're in gratitude for that which already is, then there's no other way but for that to become what you're thinking. So you align yourself, you elevate your vibration, and you align yourself to that vibration of what you're saying, what you're stating in gratitude that is, and then it happens.
I don't want to make it seem as if my goal here, or our goal, is to help people manifest. This isn't a wellness class.
But we're constantly manifesting everything we do.
But I did want to address this because our goal was to make what is perceived as a fable or a story a practical way of looking at it would help you readjust your perception so that you're not stuck and you literally it's all under our noses, and where we're constantly asking wellness people or life coaches for help. You definitely need a sounding board, but everyone's afraid to address the Bible. This is why honestly, Charlie was a big inspiration for this because he was unafraid to talk about his master, his savior. He was unafraid to talk about God, and he was unafraid to talk about the Bible. I don't think I've ever been afraid of anything, but I never spoke out because people, for the last 26 years, I've been in a healing practice, but I didn't talk about it publicly in a way that would challenge people's understanding. And the truth is, I've been talking about this for 26 years now. There is no God in the sky. And in order for you to be effective in co-creating what you want, you have to merge with it. And that requires structure and understanding.
So your understanding is clear, but the issue is that we need to be able to merge how humanity or how society, not humanity, but how society was taught for so many years that there is almost like a humanized God to which we beg or supplicate or we pray to, but in the form of always asking. And so we need to merge and we need to be able to transition to the understanding that this guy in the sky, the way it's depicted, it's really an energy that we are part of. So it's almost like we're in a dream, like our life is a dream. And we're really souls. And when we leave this world, we go out of the dream and we go back to being a soul. And that soul is connected to that creator, to that energy that we call God. But we're still souls while we're in this dreaming experience. So,
are you asking me or are you
both?
telling
It's my belief.
No, I got you. So,
how do you merge? How do you merge the two? How do you merge the?
You know what's funny? That who got me to think this way? Lula, my middle kid. I was living in New York City, and she walked up to me. I was drinking water, and I had just said a prayer. I said, "Danny," she was 8. Why are you always praying? You drink water, you say a prayer, you do this, you say a prayer. And I honestly, we never addressed this issue. She was at my house. We were going to see the Phantom of the Opera. She was with me for the week. And I was kind of stuck for a moment. And I thought, you know what, Lou? I pray because it gets me out of my mind and it gives me the ability to be grateful so that I don't have anything to complain about. Because if you're always grateful, there's nothing to complain about. Everything becomes of value. Well, when everything becomes of value, that means you are exactly 100% of the time where you're supposed to be. Once you accept where you are by being grateful, then you become present long enough to receive the creator's energy, and then it's not flowing from above, it's all around us. You just become present long enough to intensify the vibration of it, and you become a brighter light bulb.
So you're saying that by saying the prayer, it pulls you into the present moment. Mm-hmm. Because it takes you out of whatever you're doing.
Whatever your intellectual perception is, whatever your story is, whatever you think you're going to do for the day, whatever you think you should do, all of your stuff all of a sudden goes away because you're out loud verbalizing gratitude. It's not because the guy is listening, it's because he's participating.
Well, you've also mentioned in the past that as you say a blessing before you eat or before you drink something, you also elevate the food that you're eating, so it has now a higher vibration and it comes into your body at a different level. It's not just basic mundane food. Now it has an energetic charge, a vibration that comes into your body, and you become that, and it fuels you or nurtures you from a higher point.
I just remembered something. I said it's not that it's participating, because it is. It's not anything else. It always participates.
Well, if it stopped participating, the world would cease to exist. Well, is that energy that holds the world together? The plants, the air,
well, everybody's perception is different because God is. He did this to me. He didn't do anything. You directed him to do this. He didn't ruin your relationship. He didn't destroy your uh, goals. He didn't do anything to you. You did it all to yourself. More importantly, if you can look back and find value in the fact that you entered the human experience and entered the exact family that you needed to be in and have the exact mother, father, sister, brother that you needed to have. Because that's what you needed to develop in yourself in order to be who you are today. And thank God, if you're present long enough and you're not attached to your nonsense and blame and justification of how great you are and everybody's lost and they did it all to you, you can have an opportunity to receive so that you can be effective in creating what it is that you now become and be who you have become. Fill out the space that you're in.
You also have an opportunity to reorganize your priorities in a way. So because you're constantly looking at yourself and you're constantly correcting, so you can constantly reorganize your priorities and be present when you're correcting and you're present.
So think of it as imagine you're a battery, and in order to be effective, you need to pull your wires back. You have all these wires through which you redirect energy that's intended for you. And all of a sudden, if you take responsibility, you take those wires out of what you're fueling, and now that energy starts to enter you.
There's an important question here, and is, do we have to verbalize the prayer, or can we repeat it constantly in our hearts?
In your heart, you can be spiritual.
Or in our heads.
You cannot be observant in your heart.
I think in our head we need to be clear about what it is that we want.
Remember, if you verbalize something, you state it to be so. I proclaim it so.
It becomes a vibration. Yeah. Sound is a vibration. So as we speak, that's why we need to be careful with the words we say. Because what we say, what we emote, it's vibration. They're words that go out and affect everything. It affects the water, it affects our bodies, it affects our cells, it affects us entirely.
Your doggies?
Yeah, all the people around us, but it affects us. That's why as we pray and we verbalize all this energy, then it affects us as energy beings. Our cells are affected.
So I think about when kids blow bubbles, soap bubbles, think of it as blowing bubbles of reality. So then you can only become effective in blowing bubbles of reality if you connect to the unlimited force that sustains you. You're not self-made. So as long as you continue not to be able to receive and blame someone else for your happenstance, you then become self-made because you're consumed by the people who have done things to you, and you can't move forward and effectively verbalize abracadabra, Marusha. She said in her message, I create as I speak.
Wait, so I have a question.
Yeah.
Who's this?
If you don't mind.
Yeah.
Me.
Oh.
Savannah. I have a question. So, like, with what you were saying, how when you pray, right, you are more like kind of taking the opportunity to kind of ground yourself and like appreciating what you have and what is given to you in a way, right? But if we want to like say like, we truly are like like I'm just saying like I'm throwing an example out there. It's probably a stupid one, but like say like I really wish I had the like courage to talk to my boss about a raise, right? Is it like I'm asking for the opportunity to have that moment to like ask for that, like to like, does that kind of make sense? Like if I'm not asking for God like to give me something, then how would I verbalize it if I'm like more so grateful?
It's a perfect question.
You choose it as if it happened.
So here's the technology of it. The reason I say it's technology because you have to see it as technological. There is a technology to it. First of all, stop assuming that your boss is going to say no. Learn how to understand your power. Having your power means when you pray, you become still and you receive energy which gives you calm in your heart instead of anxiety, and calms your intellect, because the energy of God envelops your nervous system. So instead of creating an obstacle and a negative story about what your boss is going to say, you can actually choose your outcome and choose what he's going to say. So that's what it means to let go and let God. This is a great example that you brought up, because I couldn't come up with one. I really appreciate it for everyone, because that's how you make God work for you.
So you're saying you can choose the outcome, completely let go, and not worry about how it's going to happen, because we don't need to worry
Worry
about.
is for fools.
Okay, we don't allow ourselves to be consumed on how it's going to happen.
Right.
We let that part to what we call God, right? The unlimited possibilities. We don't limit it with our
So if we were
needs.
completely practical and we didn't understand that there is a creative force, why would I create an obstacle and assume that my boss is going to say no and be nervous and torture myself about how it could turn out, if I could just move myself back to now, take the wire that I'm directing towards my boss, that's redirecting my personal energy towards him. Remember, you're co creators. So now you're fueling the outcome in him, and he's just going to give you confirmation of what you believe to be true, because you're all manifestors, to use this.
I was just gonna say, is that like the part of the manifesting then, where you are creating, you're pre-creating that outcome for yourself of, well, I'm nervous because I feel like he's gonna say no. So it's like, all right, well, you're already putting that out there. You
But
already are.
you're by making intellectual deductions and contemplating what he or may not say, you're living on
Mhm.
a lower stage of reality. There is no.
Like you're too futuristic. You're not present.
No, it's not even future talk. The future talk is not even the issue. The issue is
Hmm.
your contemplation, your deductions, your ideas that you're sitting and thinking about it is lowering your relegating your outcome to your deduction of your intellect. It's like, I'll give you an example of lawyers that they go into a courtroom contemplating nuance. It's complete nonsense. It doesn't exist. You cannot possibly contemplate something of what someone else is going to say. But what you can do is use your perception and God's power that you have internally to choose your outcome. Instead of contemplating nuance, choose it and then just leave it alone, and allow yourself to have some peace in your mind and your heart, and enjoy the process, and then you can get to the outcome. If in the process you're contemplating failure, you're going to reach your failure. Does that make sense?
I love how you explain it to people. I've heard you several times saying, if you're going to create a story, why not create a good one? And we're constantly doing that. We're constantly running throughout our day creating stories. And
I just
sometimes,
did it. I promise you. I swear, I just did it. A buddy of mine didn't call me back. I just went to his house. We talked about a bunch of things. I dogged his kid. He wanted me to help his kid. I said, I'm not helping this clown. He, he can't close a door, much less a deal. I'm not helping him. And he has 6 kids. I happen to not like this one. I didn't mean it in a negative way, but I'm happy to help his kids if they're helping themselves. It's not because I'm judging the way his child acts, but the kid's ungrateful, and he's never been grateful to his father. And it doesn't mean my story has to become the same as his father's. I'm not his father, but I'm not. I tried to extend myself, and the kid had a pompous reaction, and now I don't want to help him, so I'm not interested. So the idea is that
so you created a
I created
story.
a story. He's not calling me because now he's mad at me, and he's like my bestie. Um, he's really something, really special guy, and the truth is, most likely he was busy. We have a relationship. We talk at least twice a day. I mean, if not more.
But it's true. If we're constantly creating with our stories, then we need to make it a point to constantly make
Right.
good stories.
Right. Well, aside from the goal is if you can remove yourself from your story, and if you can't, pray. And the prayer has to be with thanks, not God forgive me, I'm oxycating, help me.
Maria's raising her hand.
What's up, Maria?
Hi.
Hi.
Just having a short intervention here. Um, what Susanna, I guess, said earlier about the example with the boss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if I named her
Susanna,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Can you? I understand theoretically what you're saying, but can you give us an example?
Well,
How to express it this kind of approach in words, because okay, it's one when you tell us what we should do theoretically, but uh, word by word, I don't get it. I mean, I should say what regarding to the talk that I have to
the talk that you're
just
having with
it's
yourself
gonna
or
be
with the boss.
okay, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna how do I
I see it.
say it
I understand.
practically?
I understand. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
So okay, so
Mm-hmm.
practical approach. I want to close a deal. And the deal is predicated on a price of a person who's on the other side of the world. And now she's changed the price for the product because she made up a price for the sake of closing the deal, and now all of a sudden the price is 3 cents more, which then kills the deal, and I can't close it. So I have an idea in my mind. She's unprofessional. She doesn't know what she's doing. Someone gave her a price of something, and for the sake of closing the deal, she made a statement that she couldn't back up. And now, not only did she screw up the deal, I've exposed the buyer to the seller, and that can cause a whole problem. I can really make a story, and I can pick up the phone and destroy her verbally and destroy any possibility of having a relationship. So the way I do it is I don't feed into, I don't allow myself to feed into the failure because really it's not a failure. It could possibly, think about this, God created a perfect world. It's we who create the obstacles with our minds and our thoughts and our intentions. So I don't feed into the bad of what happened. I don't deviate from the story that I have in my mind that I'm going to get this item for 16 cents, no matter what. Either it's from her or from somebody else. The fact that she now raised the price and potentially had ruined the deal with the supplier doesn't mean a bad thing. If I assume that it's a bad thing, then I've destroyed my relationship with her and with the supplier and potentially lost the buyer to the supplier.
So you stay within the framework of keeping her in the highest regard.
Absolutely. I talked about seeing Mary, right? She said, I asked her, how did you become who you are? She said, people made me who I am. I said, what do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
She said, because they held me and everyone holds me in the highest regard. It raised my vibration. And so I am now a master soul.
So that means we can affect others with our
what do you mean?
intentions.
Absolutely. It works for marriage, it works for work, it works for children, it works for everything. If I continuously say that Nora Lily, who's 9 years old, is a dingbat, that's all she is ever going to be. She has dingbat moments, there's no question. She's always pointing out how the turtles are flying by.
But you have to allow her to grow and to change.
Absolutely. If I allow her to have her dingbat moment, and I remind her, turtles don't fly, even if you're in imagination, it's okay, great. But I can't drag that experience with me and recreate it constantly because then it doesn't allow for a new possibility of Nora Lily will never grow. So when it applies to a boss or a deal, I don't get out of my framework. I already chose to do the deal. It's going to happen one way or the other.
So just because you had a bad experience with a boss, with a friend, with a
Child.
whoever, that doesn't mean that that's now the standard and now that's what dictates your relationship.
By the way, that's the reason for this time energetically to correct your attachment to what was so that you don't drag what was into what's going to be and sabotage all your possibility, whether it's with your spouse, your child, your work, your endeavors, whatever.
Right.
This is the time. This is the
what
perfect
was
time.
was.
Exactly.
And is not.
Right. And it's not just what was. If you accept what was as a structural process and you find value in it, then you allow energy to seep into your heart because you see the value of it. That moment that you thought was negative now becomes perfect. So then if it's perfect, then you were exactly where you were supposed to be. She needed to tell me that it's 19 cents so I can start looking for new. It's very interesting what she caused. When she changed the price for the item from 16 cents to 19 cents, it caused me to call around the world and find 3 more outlets. And so now I'm not dependent on her. I have 3 more outlets that I can draw from. I can source from other outlets.
So now you created other possibilities.
Of course. So I'm not attached to my anger against her. She ruined my deal. She's stupid. She's bad, blah, blah, blah. I don't need to make her bad. That's our go-to. We decide to make people bad, throw them away, and now they're bad and they did something wrong to us. No, it's not by chance. It happened because I needed to not be completely dependent on this person. And I did. I found 3 other outlets for the price that I wanted. So keeping yourself within the confines of the structure, not making the person bad, not creating a story and throwing them away, choosing verbally, how do you remind yourself, Maruth? I'm creating a story. Future talk doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is now.
Yes. Now I go back to the example with the boss. So I should verbalize to myself, right? Something like, okay, this talk is going to be a good one, and I'm going to get whatever raise I want. So everything is going to be okay. And if it's not going to be okay, I mean, how do I say it?
Everything is okay.
Everything is okay.
Yeah, I already have the raise. I got my raise. I'm grateful for my raise.
Okay.
My boss is
so in the present, everything is expressed in the present.
My circumstances are perfect. I always have everything I need. I have all the contacts I need. I have all the money I need. Everything is great. And I'm grateful to God for his participation. And everything is always perfect. And I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Because again, it's going to be is again future talk.
Okay, that was my question. Just to give me the exact example on how do I say it correctly, because we are not used to saying the things in the now, because our brain, theoretically at least, doesn't believe us when the affirmation that we say it's too courageous, too much for the brain to
not humble enough
to believe. And so
but it's only a matter of getting used to it, because you retrain your brain to always knowing that every moment you have everything you need and every moment is perfect and you get all the people that you need, you encounter everybody you need, and their attitude is the best towards you. So that's what your brain starts organizing, and it always starts happening like that. But it takes some training at the beginning because we're used to doing the opposite.
I saw a video of President Trump when he was in his 30s. Someone asked him, I guess he was with some football game, and someone gave him a football to throw through a little tiny hole. And without hesitation, he took it and threw it and got it in the hole. That's what realized people do. They don't create the obstacle and they don't manufacture ideas. They use their perception to choose the outcome that they want. I can pull a thread through the entire Bible. Every single hero, every single significant character went through a process to learn how to be this way. That is the blessing of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. For all Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Catholicism, Protestantism, all of them. Not some guy in the sky who's torturing, possessing you, exploding you. All of this insanity you see and all your stuff you look at in your social media, it's a movie. And they know how to produce movies. They know that you're a sucker and you need constant stimulation and you need your brain to occupy itself somehow. So they learned how to occupy your brains with nonsense and future talk. It's going to be this. No, it's not. It's going to be none of that. It's going to be what you choose it to be. And then now you have to apply yourself to making it happen so it could become what you want it to be. And remove yourself slightly from being attached to the outcome and actually enjoy. Enjoy is when things happen. You enjoy the process. While you're in joy, that's when the process happens. If you're in misery and assumption and future talk, nothing happens. You manage to sabotage and shoot yourself in the foot, and nothing happens. And then you ask yourself, how did this happen? It happened because you made it happen.
Yeah, I understand. I got it. This time I got it. Thank you.
What else? We have other questions from Mariana.
It was the same threat.
Mhm.
It was the same question of if this is a guy in the sky. How do we pray? How do we stay in gratitude without begging? How do we? Because we've been conditioned.
If you beg, let's address that. If you beg, it means you're always in lack, and you're always surviving.
If you're always asking me,
If you're always surviving, then you can never attain what you want because you're in survival mode. You can live now. If you stop begging, then what do beggars do? They're surviving. So you choose not to beg, you choose to live. You live in joy, which means you become present long enough to actually be in the process. And so then the outcome has unlimited possibilities because while you're getting from A to B, you're actually having a good time. And I don't mean go to clubs and drink. I mean, you're actually enjoying your process and whatever you've immersed yourself in and trying to achieve. Questions? Going once, going twice.
okay, guys, have a beautiful week. Do everything possible to correct whatever it is that you need to correct within you and with others, and allow yourselves to move forward.
Don't get stuck in your insanity. Call the people that you love. Tell them, listen, I take responsibility for creating this conflict. And I apologize. I'd like to move forward. Can we do that?
And if the other person doesn't want to,
You're already making up a story.
no.
The other
I'm
person
telling
will always
you,
want.
I'm telling you something that already happened. I mean, I went.
It's not going to happen again.
Right. You already are choosing what they're going to. What if the other person?
No. It's not that. It's just that it's something that really happened. I went not once, but twice to that person and told her, okay, I want everything to be okay and to be like we used to be. And I apologized for something I didn't do, but she thought I did it. And it didn't matter. It didn't matter.
Listen, now's a new time. Now you're super aware. Now you understand the participation of the creator. And in your mind, sit down for 2 minutes and see yourself embracing this woman and thanking her for coming into your life and thank her for teaching you about stubbornness and being unforgiving. That's why she came, and that's why she doesn't want to do it because
Mm-hmm.
she wants to teach you about it's a soul that came to you to teach you about being stubborn and unforgiving. And you're not that anymore, and neither is she. And now she's going to be what you choose her to be. Do it in your mind for 2 minutes and then call her, and you'll see she'll be receptive and it'll get resolved. It's a fact. It's not a wellness trick.
Yes, I understand. And
You talk.
pro I think you're right. But on the other hand, after many years since, I mean, 3, 4 years since everything happened, I don't want this anymore. I mean,
You're still
I'm
obviously
okay.
thinking about it, so you're not okay.
Yes, because it's my sister-in-law and we meet at times.
Okay, so the past is
But
listen, I'm sorry, but
mm,
you'll you have a very nuanced mind, and like an attorney, you come up with obstacles even when you have a solution. This is why you're so intense. That's what makes you so intense. Even when you have a solution, your mind finds a way to bend itself around the solution and create the obstacle. You're doing it right now. So,
in Romanian, we have this saying that you can't make love using force, something like that.
right.
So I came to her many times
Mhm.
with love and peace. She rejected me. I understood from her response that she doesn't want me anymore in her life. And I don't know why, in this moment, after many years, I should be making any other effort for her to accept me. I just simply accepted her desire, her willing to let the things this way, and just stepped back and leave her alone because it seems like she just wants to be left alone.
So I think in the past, you didn't make the effort to see your part in it. Now you have an understanding that you played a part in the conflict. You take your responsibility, recreate it in your mind, and stop creating stories. Remember, when you ask for a solution and then you give resistance, there's no point of giving you a solution because you already created the resistance. That's why she keeps saying no. I just gave you a solution. And you keep saying to me, well, she's going to say this because based on what I
No,
had.
no,
Four
I'm
times I
not.
went, hold on. 4 times I went back to her and she said, no. Well, you're once again, you're creating the obstacle. Stop the obstacle. You don't need another explanation or new tools. Sit down and do what I just shared with you for a week and try again. Otherwise, you wouldn't bring up the scenario if it didn't bother you anymore.
Oh, I brought the scenario not because it bothers me. I accepted her will, but I gave the example because I've been there, going open-hearted to someone. Um, at least first time I had no idea that she would reject me. I mean, I was so convinced that everything will be okay if she hears my reasoning and why everything happened like it happened. And when I saw that nothing mattered, I mean, okay, maybe she just was searching for a reason to reject me. And then she got it and she sticks to it. No matter what I would say, she just wanted me out of her life and chose this reason to make it happen. And that's why, after trying once more and once more, I mean, why would I try it? Because she had the chances. I was willing.
I
I
got
was
you.
open hearted.
I
And,
understand. I don't want to take up
you
the
know,
remainder of the time, but I can tell you
hmm
this. Try to think about what I'm saying to bring up an example while you're getting a solution and to completely continue to reiterate that she wants you out of her life is not productive for you or anybody else that wants to learn how to resolve. You can, if you think your past is going to continue creating your future, stick to your past, or decide to try something new, and don't verbalize the resistance. You just told me, I just said to you, she's there to remind you of your stubbornness. I'm giving you a solution, and you keep telling me what happened in the past. So we're pouring from one glass to another the same content.
Give her an opportunity to change. People change. It happens from night to day.
Amen.
It just happens.
Okay, we got to go.
Okay.
Okay.
It's 4:20.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Vlad and Nikki. Lashana Tova.
Bye.
Thanks, Vlad.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.